So if you know me, you know one of the things that I like to talk about is how to save money on your food shopping. And so today I really want to share with you 20 different ways that you can do that. Grab a notebook, grab a pen, and get these tips. Hello friends, and welcome back to this week's money video. If you are new here, hi, my name's Yvonne and I make new videos every week, and I mostly talk about how to save money, make money, and grow your money. And that's because I'm on a journey to financial freedom, and I'm sharing my tips and hacks that have helped me so that they can help you too. So if you are interested in these topics, then hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with someone who wants to make a positive impact on their finances right. Let's get on with it. Tip number one is to be aware that prices change daily. Now, I was astounded to find that supermarkets can change the prices of 3,000 products every single day. That means that if, for instance, you're comparing prices on the internet for a shop you intend to do later in the week, the prices can completely change by the time you go shopping. And sometimes this has nothing to do with special offers. It can simply be that there are daily fluctuations in the supermarket's pricing strategies. So in the time between you place the order and when the shop is done for you, the prices can change, and by the time your order is even delivered, the total might be even as much as 20% less than the total you were originally given. So think about when it is that you are doing your shopping. Tip number two is that it's always not necessary to buy class 1 products. Sometimes the reason a product is graded as a class 2 is something ridiculous, rather than anything to do with the product actually being of poor quality. For example, studies have found that as the smart price bananas are the cheapest they offer, they're absolutely delicious, but they're graded as class 2 products just because they're not uniform size. So if uniformity is not a deal breaker, you can actually save money by purchasing bananas that may be bigger or a funnier shape than the others. Tip number three is to always buy own brand products. Now, you'll always find that supermarket owned brand products are much cheaper than branded goods, and you don't have to compromise on the quality either. In fact, in some instances, I found that the quality can actually be really good, and it's worth trying them at least once, and then you can decide whether or not you want to make the switch and save yourself some money. Tip number four is to always check the price per kilogram or the price per 100 grams before you put it into your basket or your trolley. And this is online and in store as well. And that's because when it comes to buying things like loose fruit and vegetables, and sometimes even meat, you can find that it's actually usually cheaper to buy it per kilogram than buying it pre-packed. And sometimes, have you ever found yourself looking at the price of 2 items and wondering whether it's worth spending a little bit more money to get double the amount or even triple the amount? Or are you better off just sticking to the cheaper, smaller alternative because that's what you kind of had in your head? So what I always do is, and it's proved to save me money, is to always check the information you have on the shelf, and it's usually the information just under the price of the item so that you can know how much it costs per 100 grams, because sometimes you'll find that it's £1 for 150 grams, but you might pay £1.50 and get 350 grams. And in that instance, I always find that it's worthwhile to pay 50p more to get more than double the amount of the item that you need, which will last you longer, and you don't have to buy it multiple times, right? And doing this has not only saved me money, but has taught me the importance of selecting the most cost-effective item, which in turn saves me money as well. Tip number five is, when it comes to buying meat, you don't always have to buy premium meat. Sometimes you can consider getting the cheap cuts. So not all the cuts of meat that you're cooking need to be premium, and I know this is for me that there's some dishes where you can actually use cheaper cuts of meat without compromising on flavor. For example, in some of my slow cooked dishes, I will use cheaper cuts of meat because I find that the meat gives the dish a greater depth of flavor without losing nutrition, right? So have a look at some of your favorite recipes and see if you can make the switch, and of course in turn you can save yourself some money as well. Tip number six is, for your basic necessities, always go for the most basic range available. Now, for me, I think that there's certain foods you can choose to go for the really low price basic range. Things like flour, sugar, rice, oats, and so on. I personally have not noticed any difference when it comes to buying the cheapest possible product versus buying the branded product. In fact, in some instances, I have found zero difference in taste and quality. And so all you end up doing is you're just paying for packaging and the brand name. So I'm yet to be convinced that the basic brand table salt differs from a branded table salt. And I'm not talking about the Himalayan salt or any of the other fancy salts. I'm just talking about basic table salt. So why pay for fancy packaging when they both contain the same thing? Let me know in the comments below if you agree or if you think I'm wrong. And whilst you're at it, don't forget to hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm as well. I mean, let's help as many people as we can save money on their food bills, because the like button means YouTube will push this video out even more. Tip number 7 is, where possible, don't buy pre-packaged. You actually end up paying so much more if you buy pre-packaged goods because you're covering the cost of that packaging. So I found that things like fruit and vegetables are cheaper, can be cheaper. Some fruits, not all of them, can be cheaper without packaging. For example, I now never buy pre-packaged bananas, as it always works out cheaper to buy them loose and without packaging. And that's not to mention that you have to dispose of the packaging as well. And it's not just cheaper for fruits and vegetables. In some instances, it can actually be cheaper to buy meat from like the deli counters or from the butchers in the supermarket per kilogram rather than buying it pre-packaged at the meat aisle. So double check this the next time you go shopping. It won't take that long, but it can save you some serious money. Tip number 8 is, never do a shop at the petrol station. I know. I have found that some people do their shop in the petrol station shop, but they tend to be way more expensive for most items than just going into the shop. So it's just not worthwhile to shop there, even if it's as close, it's the closest shop possible. Unless it's super urgent, I will always recommend go to the supermarket itself. I would also suggest that if you can, avoid going into small branches of like Tesco Express for the same reason, because if you're gonna do a shop, you'll find that it could end up costing you up to £30 more on like £100 shop than if you had gone to a bigger supermarket. Tip number 9 is, always consider cheaper supermarkets as your first option. Now, I speak a lot about this on my channel because gone are the days when we used to turn our noses at things from Iceland, Lidl and Aldi. In fact, many studies have found that these supermarkets are so much cheaper than the high street supermarkets or the big supermarkets, but you still get good quality produce from them. In fact, I personally have found that Aldi and Lidl produce are cheaper and in some instances way superior than those in other supermarkets. And in fact, you'll even see adverts now showing you major supermarkets trying to price match Aldi and Lidl. So that in itself says something. So maybe it's time to swap your supermarket and find a cheaper alternative. Tip number 10 is to keep an eye on how much you're spending as you shop. Now, many supermarkets now have these fast track scanner systems in store, which can not only save you time, but also allows you to keep a running tally of how much you have spent at your shop. So to avoid having a huge shock of your bill at the till and to keep your food budget in line, the next time you're in the supermarket, and if it's available, maybe use the fast track system and let me know how it goes. Tip number 11 is to forget loyalty. Know that prices fluctuate between stores. Now, I've recently found this out and I'm actually quite shocked. So let me know in the comments below if you knew that the price of an item in one branch of your favorite supermarket can be different from that in one of the other branches. So this is not the case for shops like Lidl, Aldi, Waitrose and M&S, as they all have the same price from store to store, which is what research has found. But for the others, it's a different story. Apparently you can have different prices depending on nearby competitors and many other factors. I mean, did you know this? And so you might find that you are better off going to a cheaper supermarket further away, and you can save yourself a significant amount on your weekly shop rather than going to the one on your doorstep. Tip number 12 is to try bulk buying your necessities at cash and carries. Now, if you have regular necessities that you use often, or if you have a large family and need to buy certain items more often than others, then consider purchasing those items at cash and carry shops like Macro or Costco, or you might call them bulk buying shops. Now, for these ones, you have to be a member to shop there, but the membership costs can actually pay for themselves off relatively quickly in the savings that you can save. I would also suggest that you search and see if you have any locally owned cash and carry businesses around you, as you may not need to have a membership and prices are just as competitive at Costco and Macro. So I do this, I go to a local cash and carry and I find everything that I need in there without having to compromise on price as well. And what I've found in using this method is that all these cash and carries, they tend to buy food and other products in bulk, and so they can afford to sell them at reduced prices. And quite a few times I've found that many branded prices work out to be so much cheaper when you're buying them in bulk. So consider purchasing in bulk if and when it's necessary for you. Tip number 13 is to always be aware of supposed deals like buy one get one free, unless it's on something you actually need. So for the most part, when you walk into a supermarket, you will see a number of 3 for 2s, buy one get one free, all these offers running at one time, and it can be so tempting to pick up these items because of the perceived bargain to be had. And who doesn't love a bargain, you know? But in general, you should actually avoid these offers, or you will end up buying goods you don't really need or want, and not only wasting your time but wasting money as well. Tip number 14 is to keep an eye out for special offers when you are writing up your shopping list. Now, I'm a big fan of creating shopping lists based on what you need, and that means before you even go shopping, you have to rummage through your cupboards and see what you already have in the house, create a meal plan based on what you already have, and then create a shopping list based on the things that you need to buy. Now, I always check to see if there's special offers ahead of time for any of these items that I need, particularly for things that I can buy in bulk. Another option you can have is to switch your shopping time, because you find that in almost all supermarkets, the later you shop, the more bargains there are to be had, as most items go to like the reduce to clear section from midday onwards, and then all you have to do is buy these things at a reduced price and just store them correctly. Tip number 15 is to check if it's cheaper to shop online. So personally, I used to be the biggest skeptic of this, but I have recently changed my mind when I found myself without a car, and I discovered that sometimes it can actually work out cheaper to shop online, especially if there are exclusive offers online that you won't be able to get in store. And if you've done your meal planning, then this option is really super easy. Plus, not to mention, it's completely time saving, because you spend less time traveling to the supermarket, going and doing your actual shop, and then bringing it back home. And of course, you can do this ahead of time and have the food delivered to you when you need it. I was actually really surprised that delivery charges weren't that bad, because I thought that I would have to pay a significant amount for delivery. For example, in my last food haul that I did my shop at Asda, and I got a ton of food delivered directly to my door, which was amazing. And all I had to pay was £2.50 for delivery charges, which works out to be roughly about how much I probably would have been paying in fuel anyway to go to Aldi. Now, the shop itself wasn't as cheap as Aldi, but because this was my only option, that's what I had to do. So it's worth checking to see if what you save in fuel and time is worth the switch to online shopping. Tip number 16, also consider going to the market to buy your produce. Another way to beat the supermarkets by saving money and still eating healthily for less is to use your local market stall. Now, most of the sellers have low overheads in comparison to supermarkets, and so they're able to give lower prices and you can get so much more for your money. So check out your local market and see if you can bag yourself some good deals. Tip number 17 is to avoid snack packs. Anything in small packages usually costs more. For example, mini boxes of cereal, mini boxes of raisins, small packets of nuts, they're all not worth the value in my opinion. You're better off, for me, I would say you're better off buying bigger, but it doesn't mean that you're buying in bulk. It just means you're avoiding paying for extra packaging. So what I like to do is have Tupperware and use Tupperware at home to decant the large packages into smaller portions that we need. I even have these like super tiny Tupperware boxes that I use for my son's school snacks, and that helps me out instead of having to buy individual packets. I also don't buy individual juice packs anymore. So instead I buy a big carton of juice and I just buy a bottle and I use that to give him his juice, and I found that lasts a lot longer than the individual cartons, and it's cheaper as well. So this is something worth considering if you're always buying snack size items. Tip number 18, always make sure to make the most of your loyalty card. So most people will be automatically swiping their loyalty cards when they're doing their shopping, but they don't actually end up spending them. I mean, what are you saving your points for if you're not using them, right? And I'm talking to myself as well. Even places like Lidl have now introduced a loyalty card to save you money on your shopping. So the next time you're at the checkout, take some points off your shop. You might be surprised how much you actually end up saving on your shop, because as one supermarket says, every little helps. Tip number 19, don't make the mistake of shopping on an empty stomach. A lesson that I have learned way too many times. Trust me, you will most certainly always overspend. And that's because when you eat something before you go shopping, I find that it actually makes you focus your mind and you're less likely to be tempted to buy things that look super tasty just because you're hungry. And if you combine that with a clear shopping list, you will find that you're able to stick to it and stick to your food budget and reduce the amount of money you overspend on food. Tip number 20 is to always opt for mixed size packs of eggs and Wonky vegetables. Now, whenever you're at the supermarket, consider whether the mixed size eggs are better value than the standard 6-pack. Now, the mixed size eggs are still good and can still be used to make all of your favorite meals, but they're just not uniform in size. So for me personally, if I'm making something like scrambled eggs, the weight and size of an egg is actually not really that important to me. It just needs to do the job. And so if you're shopping somewhere like Morrison's of Asda, you will see either mixed eggs, you will also see something that they call their wonky, ugly vegetables, which are a much discounted price. So you still get the same veg, but it may just not be as aesthetically pleasing, which I know is a thing for people. But if you're like me, those things don't matter. It doesn't matter if your carrot is slightly swaying to the left, you know? So save yourself some money, as most of these wonky, ugly products are usually sold at a third of the price of the beautiful uniform produce. And you'll be surprised to know that most supermarkets sell these ugly, wonky vegetables in a bid to support farmers who otherwise will have to throw it away. So not only are you saving money, but you're also doing your bit to reduce food waste and support a local farmer as well. It's a triple win. So let me know in the comments below, what other tips do you have on how to save money on your food shop? As you know, we are a community who love to share our favorite money saving tips. Also remember, if you are looking for free money, make sure to hit that stocks and shares links down below. Deposit some money into your account and you could get a free share worth up to £100. That's potentially 99 free pounds. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so that you don't miss any future uploads, as I am sharing all the tips and tricks that are helping me on my journey to financial freedom and early retirement. Also, please share this video with someone who is looking to make a positive impact on their finances. Don't forget to check out these videos, which will show you all the personal finance tips I'm currently implementing in my life that have saved me thousands and thousands of pounds. Thank you so much for your support. I will see you in the comments down below, and of course I will see you in the next video. Have a great frugal day. Take care. Bye.